Hello and welcome to my Arena Open draft reviews, my day 2 draft reviews. Spoiler alert from the title of the video, I won $2,000 this weekend, and I wanted to just kind of go over my process, like what I was thinking about when I was drafting. I wanted to go over some of my logs, just kind of talk about it. Feels good to just kind of talk about your wins, do a little bit talking about my wins, talk about how like my approach to the Open. Obviously, as you'll see, there's a lot of luck involved in doing anything like this, but obviously, you can't just get there by yourself. And so I wanted to start by going over my day 1 draft and sort of how it went, and talking about the picks and talking about why I made them, and then we'll get to we'll start to get on to draft 2, and so maybe I'll do some games. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. And so here we have a pack 1 pick 1. This is actually a very interesting pick here. So I was thinking, the primary cards I was thinking about here were Salvation Swan and Baker's Bane Duo. Um, so Baker's Bane Duo is the better card in my opinion. Statistically, it performs better. It is a cheaper. It is a 2 mana card as opposed to a 4 mana card. So those are considerations that I felt were relevant in terms of Baker's Bane Duo. You can actually see it. Actually, when you hover over the cards now, it has the Game and Hammond right on here, which actually doesn't have them for the Swan. That's weird. Does it only have them for commons? That's a new feature. Maybe this is mine. Maybe this is my stats, and I'm no, that doesn't make sense. I also don't know where you would get a 56%, whatever, or something. Right. Anyways, so I ended up going with the Swan. Um, the tiebreaker for me was that I was hoping to wheel another white card out of this pack. Like there's 3 other white cards that I could conceivably see, and there's also the Moonrise card, so like 3.5 other white cards that I could conceivably see somebody taking. It was kind of like I don't know, it was kind of like a tiebreaker for me. There is sort of I think it's defensible to make either of these picks. Essentially, is what I would say here. Um, and yeah, the Swan is a fine card, but like first picking it like this is maybe not the best. But I think it was fine. So on to pack 2 here, and we already were seeing kind of the diverging paths. So Banishing Light here is by no means the best card in this pack. Splash Lasher is considerably better. Lily Splash Mentor is considerably better. Even Polywallop is probably a better card on average. So if I had taken the Baker's Bane Duo, this pack is much more interesting. I would probably be taking one of these 2 frogs, probably the Lily Splash Mentor. Most likely, I could conceivably see myself taking Polywall, but it would probably be Lily Splash Mentor. It's just the highest upside card. I know in the Arena Opens, and you'll see this by me taking Banishing Light here. My strategy is to really try hard to stay monocolored in pack 1, just because it provides you with so many advantages later on in the draft, and we'll actually see that progress through this draft. So that was really my logic here. It is taking the last white card out of the pack. The idea of caring about what you're passing is not as big of a deal to me specifically. It is like the concept of cutting a color is not. There are differing opinions about whether or not it is something that you should be thinking about. I personally believe it's not really something you should think about a ton. You can get some very minor equity out of it. I think for the most part you should just be trying to build the best deck yourself. I think you can level yourself too much. Like taking Banishing Light here, I think for a lot of people is kind of leveling yourself. Like I think this pick, like you could make a concrete argument that this is an actively bad pick. And you could make it a concrete argument that both of my picks are bad. You could say that taking Salvation Swan over Baker's Bane Duo, and then taking Banishing Light over Splash Lasher. The other card I was considering here was Splash Lasher, because it's a generic good card. It's blue. I did kind of want to avoid blue for the Open because on ladder blue is really good right now, and like the top players have been playing a lot of blue lately. So what I would have thought would have happened, and this is what sort of played out a little bit, at least from the drafts that I did, was that blue really wasn't nearly as open as it has been on ladder for me. Okay, so we take the Banishing Light, and again, so we sort of talk a little bit about the diverging paths. if I had gone green card into the Lily Splash Mentor, I would be taking Tree Guard Duo here, I think, without thinking about it. Because I have white card, it definitely makes sense to take one of these white cards. I kind of just defaulted to highest game and hand win rate. I'm not really a Jolly Gerbils believer. I don't really believe in this card that much. Like, it's fine. I don't think it's bad. But, like, between it and Nettleguard, I think I probably would have taken it, but Feather of Flight is highest win rate card. I took the highest win rate card. I know I already have a Swan and a Banishing Light, so it doesn't necessarily go super well with what I have. But again, we're just kind of trusting. We're just doing a little bit of blind trust. Not really a whole lot else to note about this pack. Here, pack 4, the best card in the pack is Take Out the Trash. And again, we see some good Frogs cards. So I definitely could have drafted Frogs and had a very good Frog start given in this seat. And I think if I had to do it again, that's probably what I would do. Obviously, this ends up working out. I mean, I ended up, you can see 3-1 here. But I don't know. I don't think this was perfect. I do think that taking Life Creed Duo here is correct. I don't think anything else makes a lot of like taking Take Out the Trash. Red White is just so bad, and it's a deck that would perform better in the open for sure. It doesn't really work with like the stuff that I have. Neither does Life Creed Duo to a certain extent. But this is just a 2-drop in my color. I was kind of thinking a little bit because in my first pack I was like, what if I wield the Moonrise Cleric and I end up black white? But yeah, so this is just the card I felt like taking here, and I'm okay with that. Uncharted Haven also kind of on the radar a little bit. Next, I just took Consumed by Greed. So this is interesting because I'm getting into black for a double black card, which is sort of you could say is going against the philosophy of trying to stay one color. I feel that Consumed by Greed is powerful enough of a card that I'm okay with that. I wasn't giving up anything. I wasn't going to take either of these white cards. I just wasn't going to do that. And the only other card in the pack I'm thinking about taking is like Glide Dive Duo, which is also black. So I'm like, if I'm going to take the black card, I might as well take the best black card. And I did that. If I was Frogs, I would be taking the 3-Tree Reaver. Pretty simple. Here, again, there's unplayable white card and a Daggerfang Duo, so we're just going to take the Daggerfang Duo. I like Daggerfang Duo a lot, even in white-black, so I'm happy to take it. Here, I mean, again, not a whole lot. Just took a Ravine Raider because I was like, well, you never know. You could end up somewhere where you want that. This just shows my disrespect for Thornplate Intimidator. I don't think this card is great. I didn't actually end up playing one in my second draft, but there were extenuating circumstances there, and I didn't really want to take it here, but not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot interesting for the rest of the pack. This wheeling is interesting because it means that black white may be open. Now you'll notice that 3 white cards did go, so that is a concern, right? So like I started mono white and 3 white cards went, so that is concerning. But neither of the hybrid black cards went, so that's something to note as well. And then here, just kind of rounding it out, 3 green cards go. So this is where like all the Frog stuff went, which makes sense. It should. These were all like the best cards, I think, except Thornplate Intimidator. Then I took a Scales of Shale and a Dire Sight. So this Dire Sight, getting this Dire Sight late is nice. Actually ended up playing a couple of those. And then this is another interesting pick. So we get to pack 2, and this is a pick that, I don't. You could say, again, you could make an argument that this is bad. I took Feckin' Greenshell. It's one of the best 5 cards in the set. I'm happy to abandon white for it. It's considerably better than all my white cards. Brightblade Stoat was sort of the other consideration, right? So it's between Greenshell and Brightblade Stoat. Those are kind of the 2 options here. I don't really think anything else makes a lot of sense. I took the Greenshell because I was like, well, I mean, I just want to have the upside of drafting a Greenshell deck. You could sort of make the argument again that like this wouldn't have that I had already kind of set this. But I don't think it's like I don't think I had necessarily. I think that I wasn't 0% to play this. I think that I was probably somewhere around 50% to play this card when I took it here, which I don't know. It's close. I think you could definitely make the argument to just take the Stoat and be happy about your life. Now, I get immediately punished for taking that when next pack I have Zoraline, and obviously here's where I just locked in. From here on out, I was just locked into black white, and the picks become a lot easier. Without this, it would have been tough. Like my deck would have been considerably worse without this card. This card won me a number of games. Um, but yeah, I mean, certainly I would have probably taken Baker's Bane Duo if this weren't here and moved into green. I think is what probably would have happened. Um, Black green that is. And then here I take Stoat over these two. This is an interesting pick for people that think like I'm just not a big believer in this Wrath. I don't think it's very good. I'm generally not a big believer in Wraths, so part of that is me. Also, you can see that my curve is pretty terrible at the moment. I have one 2-drop and like a 1-drop I don't really want to play. So the Stoat is kind of just the perfect card here. Hoping to wield a Moonrise Cleric potentially because Black White does want it. There's a Builder's Talent. This is not the deck for Builder's Talent. Next, again, another 2-drop here. I do think Warren Elder's better than Nettleguard, so I just took that one. You could take Cruel Claw's Heist. I don't know. I was just happier to have the 2, and I think that my mana base was going to just be worse as a result of it being the open, and I was just kind of like, I don't need that. I don't need that lifestyle. Here we took a second copy of Dire Sight. I mean, there's nothing in this pack really for me. There's a couple of reasonable blue cards and a Rabbit Response, which I'm never playing. So, yeah, just not a whole lot here. Here I was actually at this point I had not a ton of removal. I had Banishing Light and Consumed by Greed, and that was it. So getting the Fell here over Nocturnal Hunger. I mean, this is just a great sign that Black is going to be open because these are 3 decent to good Black cards, and it's very late in pack 2. So that's good news. And then I get Saver next pick, which again is excellent. Didn't take Relentless Rats, obviously. That's the memes. It would have been funny. I didn't end up playing this, so for the memes, could have done it, but we didn't end up doing that. Another Daggerfang Duo, late Daggerfang Duo, continuing to get disrespected. So I didn't take the 3rd copy of Dire Sight. I took the Share Pot because I figured I was never playing 3 Dire Sights, which was true. And then here I took the Village over these other 2 black cards that I didn't really want. I actually ended up playing the Village, I believe, and then on to pack 3. So pack 3. Again, we're black-white now. We're solidly black-white. We have a really good rare reason to do so. There's this Lunar Convocation. I didn't take it, and the reason I didn't take it is that I thought it was 100% to wheel. Well, not 100%, but I thought it was, like, really likely to wheel in an Arena Open draft. In a best-of-1 draft, it would never wheel, but also, like, I wouldn't really care that much if it didn't, because Thoughtstalker Warlock is just so much better of a card than it that I just didn't really care whether it wheeled. This to me is very clearly a Thoughtstalker Warlock pick here. I just don't think you can really justify anything else. So, yeah. Next pick, again, very clear. Carrot Cake. There's nothing else in the pack that makes sense. And then this pack. So, I was being a bit of a hater in this pack. And again, you can kind of see, like, there's, like, if I had, there was 2 different decks that would have been fine or reasonable for me to draft in this seed. And it's this black-white deck, and it's the Frog deck. And I think the Frog deck may have ended up being better because of, Dreamdew Enchanter and the Feckin' Green Shell. But, I don't know. I don't feel bad about how this went draft-wise, although this pack was particularly disappointing because there's just nothing. The only card that is, like, reasonable is Veteran Guardmouse to put in my deck, and I was just like, honestly, I think the highest EV pick out of this pack for me was just taking the 20 gems, like, straight up. Like, I genuinely believe that, so I made the highest EV pick out of this pack. And here's your Feed the Cycle. I get another removal spell over Saver. That's actually interesting. At this current moment, I have Fell and Banishing Light as my 2 hard removal spells, and I guess this Share Pot. Hold on. Consumed by Greed is kind of hard removal, but not really. I think Feed the Cycle is just probably slightly better than Saver. And here's like the Monolith, which I actually ended up playing, so that was interesting. Not a whole lot else here. Come and Get It, obviously, a good card. Another Feed the Cycle. Obviously, if I had known I was getting second Feed the Cycle, I probably would have taken the Saver, but I didn't know that. And then another Nocturnal Hunger. And the Lunar Convocation came back, which is actually great because I got all this removal. And it played okay. And then just rounding out with some meaningless picks there. So that's draft 1. Do I think it could have gone differently? Yes, I think I could definitely have been Frogs there, and you can kind of see. Look at the sideboard. It's an interesting sideboard. It's interesting. A lot of equity to be leaving on the table there, but it ended up being okay. We can see. So the first deck, I don't know. There was some sideboarding that went on here. Actually, let's just look at the details. We can see sort of how this deck went. Um, and we'll notice that I won all but 3 games with it. Now I lost 2 of those games in the same match. This match was whatever. Is there anything that's super interesting? It's actually funny. Like, look at this. The first match was a disaster because these were some fun. This is going to be horrible. So I kept this hand, and then got steamrolled, obviously, because um, you'll notice that I drew only white sources. So that was good. Then surely this won't break. Surely, okay. Then this game, opponent draws only black sources and then loses. And then this game, opponent draws only black sources and then loses. So that was it was a much more competitive game, but they still just got rolled because So that was an interesting match. An easy way to win your first one. I actually lost my first game of the entire day. Um, Against red green, there were some this opponent. Again, I kept a dubious hand. You can see I kept a 2-lander with carrot cake. It's sort of the same keep I made previously. This one time it works out eventually. Eventually draw the swamp, and then we kind of take over the game here. I'm sort of removing whatever, and they have the Starforged sword, and they can't do anything. Notably, there was actually the... Hold on. No. Where is it? Here's the Thoughtstalker Warlock. Take a billion, Swan's back. Attack for 1, Thoughtstalker Warlock, and then I take this Hugs. This is what won me the game. Obviously, this action right here, taking the big card draw engine from my opponent. So that was fine. That was a fine game. But then there were some. This one I think I just got run over a bit. I kept another like mono-toned hand. You could make the argument I'm supposed to mulligan this. I think it's reasonable to mulligan it. I didn't. It actually, the keep was fine. It looks like I think it was fine. This opponent basically just beat me with Manifold Mouse twice is what happened. You'll see they drew Hugs. Actually, this one they drew Hugs, and then I just was completely dead. So they drew 6 cards off the thing. So that was a tough game. And then game 3, I got a bit destroyed by the mouse. Here's the Manifold Mouse. They have a Patchwork Banner in play. And what I chose to do is I chose to Banishing Light the Patchwork Banner instead of this Manifold Mouse, which was a mistake. What I should have done here is Banishing Light the token or the 1/2. The reason I would have done the token despite this one being bigger because I had seen that they had a Hivespide Wolverine in their deck and they had the ability to destroy the enchantment. So I would have just taken the 1/1 even though the 1/2 would get to attack me for a bit. And this was a key mistake because I was unable to get rid of these, and they ended up just killing me, basically. They played this, and then they actually beat me with Starforged Sword, and the only reason they were able to beat me with the Starforged Sword is because they had Trample as an addition to the Double Strike. If they had just had Double Strike, I would have been able to chump for a number of turns, and I would have been able to maybe find some removal, but I couldn't, and I also knew that these were the only mice in their deck, so I should probably have just taken the Manifold Mouse. Now, obviously, they didn't have access to more mana for the rest of the game, is bad too, but I think this was just a mistake, and it may have cost me the game here and this match. So I think this was an interesting match. Obviously, I have to make some terrible blocks and whatnot. Like I was always losing from the only decision I could have made differently was taking the Patchwork Banner. That was it. That was the only way I could have. That was the only action I think I could have taken differently that would have won or given me the chance to win, which I did not take. And so that was I feel a key mistake that I probably shouldn't have made. And maybe I win, maybe I don't, but I certainly have a better chance as a result of that. And then the next 2 matches I just won out both times. 3 games on the draw. This one I think it was like another like color screwed opponent. This one is weird. Hold on. Yeah, they were just mana screwed, I think. They just gave up. They had Zoraline in play and they couldn't kill it, and they gave up. And this game, I forget. Yes, keep, and then we just kind of chilled for a while, and I killed their stuff, and then I hit them for a bunch, and they died. Yeah. So these next two games were relatively uneventful. There was the mirror. Was there anything good that happened in this one? No. This one, anything interesting? I was on the draw. Got beat down to 12. Killed their bird. Another bird. Down to 8. So this game, my life total was pinballing a bunch because I was recurring stuff with Zoraline and whatnot. So this was actually the Zoraline mirror. And yeah, so that's deck 1. Not a whole lot to be mad about. This loss in particular, I think was bad. I'm not saying I would have won the game if I had chosen to remove the mouse instead of the banner, but I definitely would have had a better chance. And I think that's something to learn from there. Is that was a mistake, and I do think I could have improved in that regard. So on to draft 2 with the 4-0, obviously necessary after a 3-1, and we will see. It starts out with an interesting choice. So I take the Rottenmouth Viper here. And again, it kind of goes back to my philosophy with opens and competitive drafting just broadly, which again, you really just want to be in one color when you can. Vinery Mentor is probably a better card. Like, this is a better, like, if you had said you're going to be green black, like at the end of this draft, no matter what you do, you're going to be green black. I think this card's better. I think it's stronger in green black. Whatever. I didn't know that. I took this mono black card. It's powerful. It is a strong card. It was good for me, but I think obviously in the deck that I ended up in, which spoiler alert is black green, I would probably rather have had Vinery Mentor. And then, I mean, you do have to get lucky sometimes, guys. You do have to get lucky sometimes to win the Open. Somebody passed me a Season of Loss. I don't really know why this happened. I could not tell you. The Season of Loss wasn't even that good for me. I think I only won a single game that I cast it in, because again, not a Wrath guy. But I think my win rate with Season of Loss was 50%. So Season of Loss didn't actually do a lot of contributing to me getting the Viper actually did more contributing to me winning the money than the Season of Loss did in my deck, as I'm sure we'll see in a bit. But yeah, this is just, yeah, obviously a slam dunk there. This is an interesting pick, but not that interesting, I don't think. One thing you'll notice is there's no green cards in this pack. I was not scared by this. That's just kind of play boosters sometimes. Essence Channeler I didn't think was good enough to justify taking over Bonecash Overseer, just because this card is higher upside and is in the color I'm already in. I don't want to be taking another 5-mana card with at this point, given that I have 2 expensive spells, and this is just removal that's non-premium, so I'm not really taking it there. And then Savor, obviously a slam dunk here. Best card in the pack and is already in the color I'm in, so that's great. This pick is very interesting because I could have taken Fabled Passage, and I didn't. I took Baker's Bane Duo. And the reason I did that is that I felt that despite this being good for my mana base, and as much as I love having good mana, I thought Baker's Bane Duo is a really good 2-drop. It's here, pick 5. That means that people aren't taking it as highly as I would take it, probably. So I think I should just be taking the Baker's Bane Duo here, and I did. And I took it, and there's a Glide Dive Duo in this pack. If I wanted to be mono, if I want to stay mono black, I just take that. But I thought Baker's Bane Duo. It's a 2-drop. It makes food. It works with the Bonecash Overseer. All that good stuff. Green black's the best deck. Let's take the Baker's Bane Duo. And then I took Overprotective of Uncharted Haven. Again, another pick of having good mana is really good. Even in a 9/8 mana base, you really want to have 1 to 2 dual lands is great. Overprotect is just a really strong card. It going this late signals to me that people to my right aren't interested in drafting green at the level I would, and then a really, really late Baker's Bane Duo here sort of solidifies this. So my pack went, and there's also a Splash Lasher in this pack, believe it or not. So my pod was just a little bit whack, is what I would say. It was a little bit whack. And then this pack obviously is nothing for me. You could take the Elders. I don't know. It's the Open. I'm not going to do that. I ended up taking the 5-mana removal spell over the 2/2 flyer. This was just a win rate pick. I just literally was like, these cards are both medium. I'm going to take the one with the higher win rate. That's what I did here. I don't think these picks matter too much. Just took some blue and red cards. Pack 2, pick 1. Interesting, actually, you could. So I took the Scrap Shooter over these 2 Treetops entries. Despite what I kind of talked about with the mana issues earlier, I just felt that having some interaction with artifacts and enchantments was important to me, despite the cost I was paying to take this early and also to have it be double pipped. I just kind of felt, and this actually ended up mattering, as we'll see. And then I get the Thornbolt Forager, pick 2, and it's just kind of, the draft is kind of on rails from this point onwards. I think there's not going to be a ton of interesting picks. Cash Grab, obviously, the next pick here. I thought Tree Guard Duo was fairly obvious. You could take the Glide Dive Duo. I don't know. Wasn't super excited about it. Anything interesting? Nope, nothing super interesting there. Then I open again my third Black Mythic. You know, gotta get all 3 Black Mythics in there to. This is what it takes to 4-0. You know, you gotta get the third Black Mythic to really instill the fear in your opponents. It went a lot more smoothly than my first draft, where like I kind of was in maybe the wrong deck. This time I was definitely in the right deck. I had like how many rares did I end up with? Like 6 rares? No, I had 7 rares, I think. Yeah, we had kind of the nuts. I actually did end up getting some fixing with the Fountain Port Bell, which was really nice. More removal. Scales, a couple of copies of Scales of Shell. This was an interesting pick between Scales of Shell and one of these High Strides. I already had 1 High Stride. I think I was never going to play 2. I did actually end up siding in the second copy of this, believe it or not. Because my pack 3 didn't go nearly as well as my first 2 packs. Oh, this is pack 3. Like my amount of playables was actually not quite there. I actually only had like 21 cards that I really wanted to play. I ended up playing Thornplate Intimidator and a copy of Scales of Shale, I think. We can actually go see. I only sideboarded once, I think. So this is I mostly just ran it back. This was the main deck I ended up with. You will see 1 copy of Scales of Shale in here. I just don't have anything better. I could play Early Winter, a second copy of Early Winter, but look at how many. Like I already have a bunch of 5 and 6 mana cards, and this is just not premium, and I'm already playing one. So I just didn't really want to do that. I thought my mana was too bad to play Mudflat Village, and I wasn't going to be getting anything back. I can't recur this. I can't recur this. I could recur you, but like a lot of my best cards were not recurable with this, and I was just kind of like, I don't need to take the mana hit here to play this. Yeah. So the only 2 cards I could have played were Early Winter and Scales of Shale out of the board. I did end up siding in to the second copy of Scales of Shale. I forget what I took out for it. I took the Share Pod out, so I took out the Scales of Shale. And we will see the game I did that. I only lost 1 game the entire match. Very, very clean. I don't think there was a whole lot. This match was not super eventful. Let's just see here. Green-white playing Sunshower Druid on 1, never a good place to be. They had this, but I just have this 6-6 in play, and they're at 15, and I think I attacked them, or they just conceded. I think they just conceded to the 6-6 or something. I don't know. I don't remember what happened there. The next game didn't go much better for my opponent. Sunshower Druid on 1 again. Cash grabbing, Heaped Harvest. Interesting decision here. So I am at, so this is an interesting call. So there's a couple of different things you could do here. You could choose to play the Rottenmouth Viper and sack the Heaped Harvest. You could choose to play the Treetop Sentries and sack the Heaped Harvest, keeping up High Stride, which doesn't actually help you against a lot of green. Well, it doesn't help you against any of the white removal, but does help you against the green removal. And you could try to like just play the Baker's Bane Duo and crack this as a food to gain some life and have the High Stride up. I didn't like that. And I just ended up jamming the Viper. So some of this was, I think, was because I was up a game, and I was just like, no, we're going to put on the pressure. I haven't seen any hard removal from them, so I just played the 6-6, got to attack with the 6-6. That was kind of the game. That was a pretty easy one. Not a whole lot to think about there. Match 2. End up playing my 1-1-on-1, get in the beats. Thornbolt Forager. They killed my thing with this guy. I had my squirrel up. I ended up finding. I forget what I. So I found the Baker's Band Duo and played it. I think is what happened. And then what they ended up, they killed it with. Hold on. Yeah, so they ended up killing my. I. So they let me block and then high stride on there, which obviously I was fine with trade wise. That seemed good to me. They did nothing. I did the same thing. I Thorn Roll Forager for another copy of Baker's Band Duo, and then played it. And then they didn't have, and they attacked me again. And I just blocked, and they just traded. I didn't really like. This was just weird to me. I didn't understand this attack. It seemed really bad. They must have done it because they have nothing in hand. I don't know what they have in hand here, but they basically did nothing for the rest of the game. So, like, I just kept finding myself squirrels, and they just sat there and played lands and didn't do anything. And then I attacked, and then yeah, I don't know what was going on here. I have no idea. And then next game, I think they just got color screwed, as we can see from the thing. I have a 2-drop. I traded. They only had forests. They lost to me having a bunch of nothing in play and just a couple of tricks. And I was never gonna kill my stuff, so that was nice. So a lot of long games against red-white here. So red-white, and I'm just getting run over here early. I do have my Wrath, so this is a game where I cast my Season of Loss. Again, I lost this game. So this is one of the games that I lost. But I was at 15 life here, and then went to 11. And then I ended up going to 10 here, and I have a Glide Duo in play. So from this spot, I'm at 12, my opponent's at 26, or they're at 18. They have this bow and a food in play, and I'm empty-handed. So they drew the best card in their deck, I think, which was Flamecash Gecko, and I was just kind of dead because I didn't draw a removal spell for it immediately. I actually did draw a Saver somewhat soon. This was actually ended up being a good draw because, as you can see, they played the boar, and I got to block it, which was great. But it wasn't enough to compete with the Gecko, which was just filtering their hand, and I just couldn't, and I drew Saver, obviously, after they'd equipped, so I couldn't do anything about that, and I just got killed here. So that was a tough game one. That's going to happen sometimes. Game two. Now, this is the most important game of the draft here. I think I kept this hand. I probably shouldn't have kept this hand against my opponent. I got kind of bailed out by seasonals. So, like, this is a keep I probably shouldn't have made. It's the second... I've made some dubious keeps in my day. So I'm at 3 life here. I Wrath the board. They have a 3/4. I just kill it. They have a 4/2, which hits the Agate Assault. So I didn't play anything because I wish I knew it was die. They played a 2/3. I played a 2/4. They now have a 3/3. I went down to 2 life. So what I did... So I went down to 2 life here. And this was my hand. I had a Scales of Shale, 2 big expensive things that don't do anything, and a high stride. So what I did is, I was at 2. So here's the thing. So my opponent, if I just pass, they could just attack with the Byway Barter and not attack with this, and I wouldn't get to cast Scales of Shale and gain life, and I would lose the game. So I had to attack with the 2/4 and gain the 4 life. Now, hope that they attack with this, Brambleguard Captain, which they ended up doing. I then high-strided and untapped and got to block this. They traded a take out the trash for it. They didn't discard their last card. So now they have a 3/3 in play, and they also have this Banishing Light holding this. So I'm still at 3 life, which means this will kill me unless I have 2 creatures. I drew a forest, which is great, because I needed to draw exactly a forest, so I could play this, so I could kill the enchantment. Kill the enchantment, give them a card. I have 2 things in play. They didn't draw anything that killed me. I think they have all lands. I now draw a hard removal spell, so I kill this immediately, because I don't want them to expend 4 and get to have another chance at life here. And then I didn't attack. So the reason I didn't attack is that I had seen that they had... They have the 3 mana haster, like the haste guy, the 3/2 haste. So I didn't attack here, and then they did nothing. And then I drew Glaive Duo, and that gave me the license to attack because I was at 5, and I knew that they didn't have anything here. So I played the snake, which maybe was a little bit loose, but it ended up being fine. So we got the win in this game. And then in game 3, I think I just ended up kind of rolling on the draw. I forget. Another interesting keep. Oh no, I mulled that. So I actually mulled this, which oh no, I only had one land. Duh. Obviously I mulled it. So then I kept this one. I put back a forest, I believe. And then I got punished for that by having this in my hand. So I was at 15. I played a 1/1. Um, they tried to kill it. Hold on. I should. So I have 2 Scales of Shale in my hand in this 1/1. They tried to kill my 1/1. I get to do this. They get to hit me for 2, but I get to now basically make a free block, which was nice. Then I get to play a 2/4 and draw a card off of it. I'm taking another 5, going down to 7. I then played Baker's Bane Duo, and they attack, and I have triple block. They went for the destroy this. I have the second Scales and Shale. I win the game basically off of the back of this. They get to keep their thing alive, but it's not enough. Because I still have my 2/4. I have a 2/1. Draw forest. I just played the Death Toucher and the 4/4. The reason I did this is I didn't want to be dead to just a hard removal spell. By playing one of the bigger guys. Then now I get to play my big guy. They lose their last card, which I think was a land. I have 2 foods in play. They get to cast a couple of guys. I attack with my 6/6 now. Has 2 counters. They take 4 and double block it, which ends up being really bad for them because then I Maha, killing their 2/1, and then the game just ends there. So that was a big match. The attack with the Treetop Sentries with Scales of Shale up was, I think, in terms of playing well, that was a really good decision I made. But there were some bad decisions here. I did get a little lucky with some of my mulligan decisions. I probably should have mulliganed in like all 3 of my hands with this deck. Not the first one, but the second and third one. I should probably have mulliganed all 3 of them. And then the last match was pretty not interesting. It was just a game where I played some guys and then attacked. My opponent just never blocked anything ever. They just didn't block anything, and then I played a 6/6, and they didn't have a counterspell, and they lost. So that was, they gave up a little fast there, but that was it. And then the final match, once again, pretty interesting. Not that interesting actually. Found Port Belt. I think I put a swamp on top. They have a couple of birds. So this is actually interesting. So I decided to just kill the Life Creed duo while they were tapped out with my Baker's Bane duo. I thought about giving them a fish to kill the 2/1. I thought I would rather kill the Life Creed duo. I had this other removal spell if I needed it. And I kind of felt like the 2/1's not really that big of a threat. I should just, I'm racing it, actually. They're missing a color right now because they don't have their white mana. They have blue, red, and a grotto, so their white stuff's going to be expensive. I cast a 2/4 with reach, drew a card, and then I think it was, so they ended up, so they killed my 2/2, which was great for me. And they ended up playing this, which to me basically meant the game was over because they just weren't doing anything past that point. I played a Glide Dive duo. Now the Glide Dive duo ended up basically going to the house here, which was kind of interesting. Like I just attacked and they just never, they're at 16 here, and they just never attempted to double block it. They just never at any point attempted to double block it. I played a Maha when they were tapped out because I didn't want it to get countered. They had to discard a card to remove it. That was okay with me. Then we just sat here for a while, a long time, because they were at 7. I didn't want to attack because if they had a removal spell, I didn't want to cast one of my tricks into a removal spell. So I just kind of just sat here for a while. Here I probably could have attacked because I had overprotect, but I was like, I just still don't need to. So here I drew the Share Pot and blew up the Banishing Light, and then I got to attack. They spelled. They should have probably just counterspelled my thing, but actually seeing the Spelljar here was really, I meant it was really good for me not to just be attacking into open mana. I think I played really well by not attacking into open mana, and then they ended up just conceding here. I had Overprotect and High Stride up here for the Maha, so they would have had to pay way too much to kill it, and I won the $2,000, and that's how I did it, everybody. That's how you win an Arena Open. And I just figured I would give an overview of how it went for me, maybe some mistakes that I made, some learning opportunities, and share some of the progress. See you next time.